Hachu sasaksi. In our language, I'm saying hello, friends. So now you've learned some of our tiłhini language. Hachu means hello, sasaksi means friends. My name is Mona Olivas Tucker, and I'm the tribal chair for titʻu tiłhini, Northern Chumash tribe. And our membership is comprised of indigenous families, from this area, and our ancestry dates back easily 10,000 years. So I'd like to welcome all the visitors to the Oceano Pismo Beach State Park area. And if you happen to be Northern Chumash, I'd like to say to you, welcome home.
Who are the Northern Chumash?
Northern Chumash is a way of referring to us that has come along later in time. We refer to ourselves as tiłhini. This is the area that we're from, the tiłhini area. And the name of the tribe is titʻu tiłhini. And I know that sounds like it would be very difficult for you to say, but it isn't. Yak is the word for the. Titʻu is the word for person, and if you say it twice, titʻu, it means people. So when you say yak titʻu, you're saying the people. And a good way of remembering that is if I'm going to teach you how to roller skate, or I'm going to teach you how to tie your shoes. So we're yak titʻu yak tiłhini. So the question comes up, where are the Northern Chumash, the yak titʻu yak tiłhini people from? Where did you live? Well, our homeland area can generally be described as San Luis Obispo County or the San Luis Obispo County region. I don't know if we know the exact boundaries, and we don't think that the county boundaries are exact to our homeland area, but probably close. So we would go north to Ragged Point and go considerable distance east, and then drop down to the Santa Maria River. So the Carrizo Plains would be in our homeland area. And so we use the Santa Maria River as a marker in general, but we also know that the Santa Maria River has moved or changed course probably many different times over thousands of years. And some people think that our western boundary would be very easy because, there's the beach, then the ocean, and that's it. But that's not it. We extend into the ocean a considerable distance. We know that the ocean, there used to be more land as opposed to more ocean. And that area that's now underwater is part of our homeland. And we don't need to know exactly how far that goes west. It's just part of our homeland, and we're, very happy that it is. So in this area, let's just call it San Luis Obispo County region, there was a system of villages, probably 39 or 40 villages that we know about. And we know about these villages because of dedicated researchers who have spent, in some cases, a lifetime in studying thousands of mission records, studying information left behind by early explorers, soldiers who wrote journals that have been able to read those journals. But in addition to that, in the early 1900s, there were ethnographers and linguists who were talking to indigenous people. And those people had clear memories of their childhood, but they also had memories of the stories that their parents told them and the stories that their grandparents told them. So there's good information from the consultants that contribute to this amazing large body of work that helps us understand where villages were located. Many of us, all of the members of our tribe are linked to one or more of these villages, and some of us live very close to where our ancestors lived thousands of years ago.
How are you connected to the Northern Chumash through your ancestry?
Well, I think the same way everybody is connected to their ancestry, and that's through their parents, and that's the same way with me. I'm connected through my father, Tim Olivas, and my grandfather, Francisco Olivas, and my great-grandmother, Rosario Cooper. And it's very well established that we're from this area, along with the other members of our tribe. So my connection is through my father, and that's how I came to live here. I've never lived anywhere else, and so this is our home. And many of our families have a uninterrupted 10,000-year unbroken chain of occupancy in our homeland area.
What are some beliefs of the Northern Chumash people that you would like to share?
Some of the things that I'd like to tell you is that the Northern Chumash have a worldview, and we consider the whole world as a sacred place. And that's not limited to just the planet Earth. It's not limited to just the universe. It's everything. Our worldview encompasses all of that. And we're strongly committed to our families, and we're strongly committed to our tribal community. But we are, very well aware of differences in people, and we strive to understand and to have close relationships and friendships with all people. Most everything that we do it based on respect, and I think that's important, an important lesson for a lot of people. And we also strive for the principle of consensus. So it's never about me or I, it's all about we or us. We have a way of doing things that generally does not boil down to one person making a decision.
Is there one Chumash language or many languages and dialects among different tribes?
Well, there's only one language for titʻu, titʻu, and that's the language that people refer to either as Obisfino or Northern Chumash. But for the area that is nowadays where other Chumash people live, going south to Malibu, east into the Los Padres National Forest, north up to Piedras Blancas and those areas, there's several languages, at least 9. And so if you lived any great distance from one another, you weren't able to talk to each other. They were distinct languages. The Northern Chumash language, the tiłhini language, or as some academics refer to it as Obisfino, is a unique and elegant and beautiful language of which is being revitalized today. Our tribe sponsors monthly language classes, and we do have tribal members who've been studying the language for 10 and 15 years. And so our ability to work with the language is pretty good, but that is on a case-by-case basis. But we have that language primarily for one reason and from one person, and that's our grandmother, Rosario Cooper, who spent over a period of a few years, several weeks, working with a linguist, John P. Harrington, thousands of notes, thousands and thousands, boxes full of notes that are housed at the Smithsonian. And it's because of her work, J.P. Harrington, and then of course important people later on who spent years working with the language that we have, that we know what we know. But Rosario didn't just leave us the language. She left us information about our family and about her, and not just her at that moment, but her throughout her life, and things that she had seen and things that she had done and places that she had been. So it's for us, it's a treasure, but I think her work is a national treasure. Well, they're available, but getting through the notes is very difficult. J.P. Harrington, who was probably obsessed with saving native California languages in the early 1900s because they were dying out quickly. His handwriting is hard to read, and the way he writes things is difficult. It was all done in pencil. And I have read a small note, one paragraph, in which he wrote in English, Spanish, tiłhini, and German. So you do a lot of work to get through 2 or 3 sentences. In among all of that work, all of those interviews, there is so much about our culture that we need that language, and we need to express ourselves in our language because it's what this land, what this area understands. So if you're speaking tiłhini and you're in the Oceano dunes or the Pismo beach, if you're speaking our language, it's the only time you're not speaking a foreign language.
How did your family teach you about the importance of the dunes?
We were taught that every place is important. We have a worldview that tells us that our world is sacred, and that certainly includes every place. We always felt very close to the ocean, to the beach, to the sand dunes, and we don't look upon them as inanimate, but as animate and things that are important Well, for us, the Northern Chumash language, the tiłhini language, wasn't a written language, and that's how you learned. You learned by telling stories to younger generations or listening to stories from older generations. And, it's really, really important. I mean, that's how you learn a lot of lessons, how to do things, really how to not just survive, but to thrive. And so that's what's handed down to us.
How are you connected to the Northern Chumash through your ancestry?
Through DNA. We're affiliated with the Northern Chumash people, and we have their ancestry put down in mission records. So we traced, not just us, but lots of people traced the family tree just like you would your genealogy, as they call it. Except we were in the same place for a long time. We didn't make a trail to Europe.
What are some customs and beliefs of the Northern Chumash that you would like to share?
Well, we lived through it. We grew up this way. We just been here. And things like traditions in your family might be updated, like Thanksgiving and stuff like that. But they were still sacred times because they had certain things to do with the weather and the changing of the stars and the cycles of the moon. So we followed all that, and we did the same in this generation, except we're planting crops instead of just letting things come naturally. But we're still doing the same things, by the same moon, by the same sun. There's lots of stories about how important the sky and the ocean, everything is. Yeah. But that's why you have stories around the campfires. We're gathering all the time. We gather to make baskets. We gather to sing and dance. And a lot of this is late at night when there's nothing out except the stars. So it's really great. Oh, they have a huge basketry association. They're from lots of California tribes and beyond, but mostly California tribes. The people make beautiful baskets. Plus they pick, they're able to gather their own cordage and whatever they have to use.
Did trading occur among Northern Chumash and other tribes?
Oh, I think you can trace our beads, which was our money beads. We had an economic system. They find our beads, they have for a long time, and identified them as far as the Rocky Mountains. Now with the research going on, our beads are being found as far as the East Coast. All made out of Olivas shell, the money beads were. So they're just tiny little beads, and you wore strings of them. That was money, because they're found traded everywhere, all around us.
Was music part of Northern Chumash life and ceremonies?
Music's always been a part of everybody ever since. Not everybody had drums. The Chumash really didn't use drums. They had an earthen drum, which could be a hollow log or something like that that you danced on or danced over, and so you got a different sound. And rattles, whistles.
What is the importance of the dunes to your life?
The solitude at night and the brightness of the stars and being able to be quiet is just wonderful. And I was thinking, I keep remembering all the times that we felt lonely or sick or in grief. All of us. We would go to the beach and walk. You know, it was amazing all the times I thought, we're just going to the beach. Time to go to the beach now. It's alive. They're alive. And they suffer so much, and they still come back.
How are you connected to the Northern Chumash through your ancestry?
I'm connected, well, through my grandma, so through family and blood. And I've always stayed connected because she's always kept it well maintained and established in our family. She's always, as a little girl, she would keep me well interested in whatever it was that was going on, I guess, in her life or work and stuff. She would pick me up and take me to work with her and our powwows or the Santa Barbara History Museum, and there would be events going on there about our family history and stuff, and sometimes she would start talking about things and I wouldn't even be paying attention, and I'd have to start figuring out why this was so important, and then obviously I'd catch on, and then I'd understand eventually. And so it eventually just became a way of life, and once it becomes a way of life, then it just becomes your everyday thing, and that's kind of how it was so easy to just stay connected. Now it's kind of a part of who I am. Yeah, people don't really believe it looking at me being a blonde and blue-eyed person, but it's just how I stay connected with everything.
Are there Northern Chumash traditions and customs that you still celebrate?
Yeah, we used to do a lot of gatherings. I remember as a little girl dancing around fires and music and stuff. We would go and it would be like meteor showers and going to Cave Landing, Pirates Cove, going to places like that, going whale watching late at night, stuff like that. It was never really a lot of things during the day. We'd always have to wait for full moons, certain things like that, summer solstice, and it was always places like out in the middle of nowhere, Lopez Lake, Pozo, and it was a lot of fun growing up. We learned how to, like make paint with rocks. I learned how to basket weave when I was probably like 8 years old. That was fun. Just different things like that growing up as a little girl. There's a lot of different gatherings I participated in.
What is the importance of the dunes to your life?
I have bonfires out there sometimes. I wake up in the mornings and I'll go out there and have morning walks. I'll just go out there and I'll just sit for 15 minutes at a time. I spend a lot of time on the beach. I work out there on a daily basis. So the beach has a lot to do with my everyday life, that's for sure.
How are the dunes important to the Northern Chumash people?
It's where we lived, it's where we did everything, it's where our lives are. I mean, we have everything here. There was our water, there was our food, it was our protection, it's where everything is for us.